We're here now with the new food editor, and I know we should drop the new because it's been a while now.
It's alright. It still feels nice.
Of Chatelaine, and I'm thrilled because Claire, you worked for me in 2003. I shouldn't say worked for me. We never think of it as working for me because basically I hire people who like to chat about food, and I think you've just continued on doing that because after me. You went to President's Choice as developer, restaurant developer, then you went to Canadian House and Home, and then now to Chatelaine. And you're still talking about food. We're still discussing food.
I still seem to never have enough time. I can talk forever and ever and ever about it. Yeah.
But no, we were talking about, you were just mentioning earlier off camera though, that you develop 50 recipes a month for the magazine. And I really actually had never thought, actually counted up how many recipes are in. Now, for my world, that's about 6 books a year.
Yeah, so you know,
that's
you can expect to see a lot of me.
But do you find that, like, coming up with new ideas, or do you find there's certain things the readers want to see over and over again?
Well, I mean, it's always about finding a balance. We had a typical brainstorming session yesterday with the team, the Chatelaine kitchen team, and so we're supposed to be coming up with 8 different ideas for the April issue.
April?
April. Oh, yes.
Keep in mind, this is now October.
It is now, yes.
Yes, okay.
We like to be far in advance. And between the 4 of us, we came up with about 50 different ideas.
Okay.
And so then from there, we pare it down.
Right.
And depending on the section of the magazine, like the story we were working on yesterday was, it's called fast food. So it's our weeknight dinners.
Right.
So we want to have, one that's going to be good for kids and one that's going to be vegetarian. And we want to think about what season it is. And so we kind of pare it down that way. And then there are the extras, and we push them over to the next month.
Okay. So there's a process of elimination and addition. So there is a method to it.
There's a crazy method. We work by our own crazy rules. I know, but we try to do a little bit something innovative, a little bit something more familiar. We like to get a couple of classics in there.
Which is just like the book. I mean, you really have just summed up the book. So I was reading through it the other day and I thought, oh yeah, that's great. Like classic lemon loaf, which we're sampling today. But then you've got other lovely variations on things. And you've got vegetarian, you've got breakfast stuff, which I really like that brunch sort of stuff too. You got ideas for menus at the back as well, which is just a continuation of what you do in the magazine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now you also said, though, I was teasing you because I said, is the kitchen going every day, the test kitchen?
Yeah.
It's being...
Depending on, like some days there would be, say, 4 people doing about 6 recipes a day. So,
wow.
So that'd be 24 recipes in a day being made. Other days it's just one person doing about 3 or 4 recipes.
So how come you don't weigh 400 pounds?
I don't know.
I mean, it's insane. Because I was saying to you too, like, it's like a wine, when you do wine taste, professional wine writers and whatever, they go to tastings, they spit, and I say to them, oh, come on, something must trickle down the throat when it tastes good. And you just finished saying that too, that it does trickle down the throat. You eat a little bit more when you like it.
Yeah. Especially, we're working on banana bread, like the most perfect banana bread ever. And so you have a bite, and then you're like, oh, that's good. And then it's still there on the counter an hour later, and you're like, well, I want to make sure it's good at room temperature as well as warm. Then you're like, I'll take the rest of that loaf home and share it with my family. And
so that's what happens to all the food?
Oh, a lot. Either if it's really bad.
Yeah. If it's really bad?
You know what?
Does that happen?
Well, sometimes recipes are just disasters, right? We work in this marshmallow recipe, and like if it doesn't gel, it doesn't gel. Like it's a
disaster.
Yeah. Or we were working on baked beans, and the beans never cooked through, and we couldn't actually get them to bake through. They couldn't never get soft. So some of that stuff, unfortunately, has to go in the composter. Everything else gets distributed among either the Chatelaine staff, or we take it home to our families, or we put it in the freezer to make sure it can be frozen, and then we take it out a couple weeks later. So we do something with everything.
There's lots of stuff happening.
Very
impressive. The back behind the scenes, sort of what happens.
Yeah. We have fun. It's interesting. And we really go to crazy lengths. Like all the recipes are triple tested, which means they're all tested at least 3 times, which is important because everybody reads a recipe differently, as you know. And so the way that you read simmer uncovered for 5 minutes is one thing, and the way I read it would be different. So we have at least 3 different people test the recipe, and then we test it, in a non-stick pan and in a sticky pan, and then we test it with President's Choice flour and with Robin Hood flour. And so we're always trying to just make sure it's going to work, no matter who you are, no matter what part of the country you live in, no matter what groceries you buy. And then every now and then we'll be like, the recipe tester will say, I was working on this, but then like something happened to my computer and I had to go over there. And you think, well, that happens at home too, right? The doorbell rings, the phone calls, somebody scratches their knee. So it all goes.
So what happens then when somebody emails the magazine and says, this really didn't work? Do you kind of go nuts because you obviously tested it like 10 times. It
We
sounds
all
like.
whip ourselves. No, because but the thing is, like, it's still food, right? Anything
Right.
can happen. And when people call in or write in, we do try, if it was a disaster for them or if it really didn't turn out well, we try to contact them to see, to kind of talk through. Like we had a potato cake, like a pomme and you know, like, so just like layers of potatoes baked in a frying pan. And
What could go wrong?
she wrote in to say it all fell apart. I don't understand. And so we called her back, and it turned out that she had put in a whole bunch of raw onion. And of course, the raw onion prevented the starch and the potatoes from gluing it to, you know, so.
That was a chemistry question.
It was a chemistry thing.
Who knew?
Yeah, that's right.
And what, I mean, it's just, what do you find the readers are asking for? What are the trends? What are they asking for these days? What's the feedback? I mean, is it always chicken and beans and, or
well,
chicken
it's,
and beans?
I mean, ingredient-wise, content-wise, it's expanding a little bit.
Is it?
But for the most part, it's quick and easy weeknight dinners and something a little bit special for weekend entertaining.
And is quinoa and grains?
Quinoa is huge, huge. I was doing an event the other day and I had bulgur and quinoa, and the bulgur was like, you know, nobody cared about the bulgur.
Because that's so passé now.
Everyone was all over the quinoa.
Is that right?
And there's much debate about the best way to cook it, and do you need to rinse it, and do you have to measure the water, or you know, all those things.
And the different colored ones now you can get. It's amazing how grains have captured people's imaginations now.
Yeah. Especially, well, the thing I like about quinoa, it's the fastest thing to cook.
Yeah. Thank you. And is this going to be the start of more from the show?
Absolutely, yes.
A little teaser for more to come.
Oh gosh.
Thank you, Claire.
My boss isn't nearby to hear that.
Thanks, Claire.